iPhone XR screen replacement. So today we're gonna be replacing the screen for an iPhone XR. To replace the screen for the iPhone XR, the first thing we need to do is we need to turn off the device. For this one, the touchscreen doesn't work, so we have to skip that step. We have to remove the bottom screws with our pentalobe screwdriver. So I'm removing 2 screws from the bottom with our pentalobe screwdriver. Like always, I'm going to place them. I'm gonna pretend this is my phone and this is the bottom of my phone, so those 2 screws, those are the first 2 screws I removed. Here you go. This is the only time we're gonna use our pentalobe screwdriver. Now I'm gonna place my phone on the hot plate. There's adhesive on the edges, so I'm just going to place it on the hot plate. For a few seconds. I'm gonna say for at least 30 to 40 seconds. Okay, now I'm going to take my alcohol dispenser and there's always gonna be a gap on the bottom corner between the frame and the LCD. So I just lift it up. Here you go. Now I'm going to take my guitar pick and I'm going to replace it with my opening tool. So there is my opening tool. Now all I'm going to do is lift the screen up from the right side and from the left side. Now I go to the other side. Now I'm going to wiggle my phone from side to side. And I'm going to push down or pull down gently, and I'm going to lift my screen from the left to the right side. Here's my phone. Now I'm going to put something behind my screen so that it holds my screen. Now we are gonna need our Y-shape screwdriver to remove the metal shield that is covering the battery connector. So the first thing is to remove the battery or disconnect the battery. So I'm gonna do this under the microscope so you guys can see it. So what I'm going to do is gently, I'm going to hold my screen and I'm going to push it with one hand. I'm lifting the screen up and with the other one I'm going to remove the plate. So here is the plate. The plate is gonna have 1, 2, 3 screws. Again, if you check TV number 3, this is what I'm doing. So if you check TV number 3, I'm just lifting the screen so that I have space to remove the plate for the battery. Here you go. So I just lift up the cable and I'm going to remove that metal shield or that metal plate. I'm going to remove that metal plate and I'm going to put it right next to the screws that I removed. Careful. So this is the plate that I just removed right now underneath the cables for the LCD. Now if you notice, I am going to organize my screws the same way I took them out. So I have my metal plate right here, and I know that that screw goes here, this one goes on the bottom part, and this one goes on the top. I create the same shape. This one goes here, that one goes there, and this one goes here. Now the next step is we are going to disconnect the battery. So the battery is not the first, not the second, but the third connector on this area right here. So let me show you under the microscope. So this is the cable. If you check the number 4, this is all I'm doing, and I'm going to disconnect this one. The first one, 1, 2, 3. This is the first one from right to left. So all I do is take my opening tool and lift it up. So I went in, I took my opening tool and I lifted up. Okay, if you see on TV number 1, you can still see it. Let me see. You can still see too. I went underneath the cable and I disconnected the battery. Okay, so now let me put something behind my screen. And I'm going to remove the other holder that's holding the screen into place. Which is this one. Right here, if you see it from the right side, you can see it. That's the metal plate that's holding the screen connectors down. So I'm going to use my my U-shaped screwdriver to remove those 2 screws. This is the metal shield. And then I'm going to take I'm going to lift the shield up. This is the one. I lift it up. And again, every time I organize them like I took them out. So this screw goes on the right side, this screw goes on the bottom left. Here you go. Now we need to disconnect we need to disconnect the screen. So we're just gonna go with our opening tool, we're gonna go underneath and disconnect it. So we go underneath and disconnect one, then we go underneath and disconnect the other one. Now the screen is disconnected. Now I don't need my holder. Now I have my screen, it's disconnected from the bottom and the battery is still disconnected. So now all I have to do is put my screen to the left side, and I have to remove 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. That are holding the proximity sensor cable. So, okay, so I have my screen or my phone, my screen on the side. I have to remember I don't want to damage this cable, so I'm just going to put it on the side. Never pull the cable. If you rip the cable, your Face ID will not work again. So now I am going to show you so here is the plate that I was talking about. We need to remove the screws from the plate and we're going to use the Y-shape screwdriver. So here's number 1. Here is number 2, the bottom 2. And here's the third one. And now for the next one, that's going to be a Phillips screwdriver. So what I do is I'm going to hold it with my Phillips. If I don't hold it, this metal plate, it breaks. So what I'm going to do is hold it with my finger and remove that screw. Here you go. Okay. And now I'm gonna remove that other screw right here, this tiny screw. Oh, I don't have to remove that screw, so I can just leave it there if I want to. Okay, so now we're going to lift the metal plate. We're going to take the metal plate out. So how do we do it? This is the one. I'm just going to pull it out. I can hold it with my tweezers and I'm just going to pull it out. Here you go. So this metal shield stays there. We don't need to remove it. That goes on top of the LCD, of the metal plate that covers these cables, not the LCD, I'm sorry, the proximity sensor cable. So I was talking about this metal, we don't have to remove this metal. So now I have to organize my screws. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this down. I'm going to put this down so that I have more space. And then move my screw right here. This one goes here because I'm pretending this is my iPhone XR. Now I take the other holder, a metal holder, and I transfer my screws right here the left one, the right one. iPhones are easy. The only thing you have to remember is how to organize the screws. If you organize the screws, you're not going to have any problems. But if you are messy and you don't create a system, this is gonna take you forever, or you will damage the phone. Here's the other one, and here's the next one. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we go back to our phone, and we have to disconnect this cable, the proximity sensor cable, which is this one, that goes from here to the LCD. So how do you disconnect it? You go with your opening tool and you just lift it up. Let's just do it under the microscope so you guys can. Okay, so I'm holding my screen with one hand. I don't want to damage this cable. And now I'm gonna go to the microscope and I'm going to show you. So all I'm doing is I'm taking connector number, so there is one on the bottom, one on the side. I'm gonna take the next one. So I just lift it up. If it's not coming out from this side, I go to the other side and lift the cable up. Here you go. I just lift it up. Now I can remove my screen. Here you go. The next step is going to be, we are going to test the new screen. So we're going to take our new screen and we're going to test it, because I don't want to spend all my time replacing parts and then at the end find out that the screen doesn't work. So I take my new screen, which is this one. I am going to connect it. You connect it the same, when you're connecting, you just press on it. So it's this connector right here, and you just click. It clicks just like Legos. 1, 2. And make sure they're all the way in. And now I'm gonna go to my battery connector and connect it. Okay, so we're gonna test our screen. I'm going to click on the power button and we're going to make sure everything is working properly. Okay, so I'm gonna check my screen, make sure everything works. Everything seems to be working. I just want to show you something. There's supposed to be right here, we're supposed to have an option that it's called True Tone. We're gonna have to do an extra step for the iPhone XR. I'm going to show you how to enable True Tone for this device after we finish replacing the screen, or while we're in the process of replacing the screen. So we don't have that option right now. The True Tone option, it should be here and it's gone. Okay, so we test the screen, everything is working. Let's shut it down. Okay, so now I take my phone and I'm going to lift the screen up, and first things first, push my phone to the left and I disconnect the battery again. Here you go. Now I'm gonna go underneath and I'm going to disconnect the LCD. 1, 2. The LCD has been disconnected. I can put the phone to the side, and now we are going to replace the proximity sensor, speaker, So what do I have to do first? I am going to remove this film that comes with the new screen. So this one, I guess they don't want us to remove it. Here you go. Here you go. Now, the iPhone XR, it's an easy repair. We just have to remove this sensor or this cable from the top of the LCD. So how do you do that? All you have to do is remove 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. 3 of them you're gonna use the Phillips, and that little tiny one you're gonna use the Y-shape screwdriver. So let me do it under the microscope so you guys can see it. So here are my screws. Okay. Okay. So I see 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I use my Phillips and I start like always from right to left. So I'm removing the one on the right side. Now I'm removing the one on the other side. And I'm organizing my screws right here, one on the right, one on the left, and 2 on the top. There's gonna be another one. And then the last one, we are going to use our Y-shape screwdriver. Now I remove the Y-shape. If you notice that the size of this screw is different from the other ones. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there's gonna be a metal plate that we need to remove. It's going to be right here next to that screw. This one, it comes out with the speaker. So let me show you. Let me see, TV number 4. So I'm going to lift the screen, the speaker, gently. Just lift it up. So I just lift it up. I'm still holding the speaker. Don't pull anything, you don't want to rip the cable. So I just lift it up and I'm holding it with my fingers. Now I am going to use the microscope to show you. There's gonna be this metal covering this metal holder right here. We're gonna remove that right there on the top. So I remove my metal holder. Okay, so right now I'm just placing the metal holder right here. So the metal holder goes right here and the 2 bottom screws, 2 top screws. Okay, so I removed the metal holder. Let me put the new screen on the side. Okay, so now I have to remove this cable. If I pull it out just like that, I can damage the proximity sensor, I can damage the speaker, I can rip the cable. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply some heat, or you can put it back on the hot plate around the flex cable, around the LCD, not directly at the speaker but around it. So just like that, okay. Or I can put it back on the hot plate. And now I'm gonna take my opening tool with some alcohol, with my alcohol dispenser. Got some alcohol on my table, let me clean that. So I'm gonna take my flathead screwdriver and I'm going to go underneath this plastic, and I'm going to lift it up gently. So I'm going, let me show you. So I'm lifting this plastic up. So I don't wanna, this sensor controls the Face ID. I don't wanna damage the sensor, so that's why I go underneath the plastic. Here you go, and I lift it up. Now the sensor is out. Do you see it? If I damage this sensor, the Face ID is not gonna work anymore. So that's why I go underneath the plastic holder. Now there is the microphone. This is the microphone. So now I'm gonna have to go underneath. So this is the microphone right here. I'm gonna go from this side, from underneath the cable. I'm going to lift up the cable. I'm gonna go underneath, and with alcohol, remove the microphone. So I'm going through the back. Let me fix this. Here you go. So I'm going through the back right here, and now I'm lifting up the microphone. Here you go. So here's the flex cable. I didn't damage any cables, I didn't use any strength, I never pull anything with force. It's just alcohol and heat. So now I put my flex cable right here. So I remember bottom 2 screws, top 2 screws, and the metal plate. Now I can put my screen away. However, before I do that, I have to get the data from the old screen. We need to get the data, so we have the option of the True Tone, the True Tone option. If we don't copy the data from the original screen into the new one, the True Tone option is not gonna be there. So let us do that. Okay, so we have our JC ID reader, and this is the old screen. So I'm going to press on. Then I'm going to connect my screen where it says XR touch, and it's gonna read the information. So I'm gonna click read or reading. It's gonna give me a file 001. I'm going to disconnect the old screen. This is the damaged one, and I'm going to connect the new one. I'm just gonna continue. Here we go. It says that there is an iPhone XR, and I'm just gonna click writing, and it's gonna ask me if I want to write the file, and I click yes. And now it has the same information as the other one. Okay, so now I can continue with my repair. So now if we install this new screen, we're gonna have the option for the True Tone. So now we take our new screen, and we're going to start installing all the components, which is just this flex cable that has the speaker and the sensors. So how do you do it? You are going to you're just going to remember that everything fits in. So first, the proximity sensor, or the sensor, this one goes here, that one, you just put them back on the plastic that holds them into place. And now let me show you under the microscope how it looks. Okay, so this is the microscope. So this is how it looks. Let me bring this up. So what I did, I just put my sensor, everything back on its place. Here you go. So I just put them back on its place. Now I put the speaker back. Okay, so I have my speaker, so I'm going to I have my speaker, I'm going to put it back in its place, and all I have to do is put 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. So again, we take the bottom two first, there goes one. Now we go to the next one, and now we go to the next one, and then the tiny one that uses the Y shape. So let me go under the microscope. So we had 1, 2, 3, and 4. All the way in. Here you go. That's it. It's pretty basic. Compared to other phones, these are the iPhone X, XR, 11. They're really easy to replace the screen. Okay, so we're almost ready. So now I'm just gonna take the glue and I'm going to remove the old glue so we can install new glue. So I just hold it and pull it out. For the following step, I'm just gonna remove my gloves because of the adhesive. So I'm just going to, for the following step, I'm not gonna wear any gloves. So I'm just removing the old glue, or the glue from the edges. Okay, that was one side, there is the other one. And now we're gonna go up to this one. Now we remove the other one from the other side. And now from the bottom side. Okay, so we remove the glue. Now we're gonna install the new adhesive. Okay, so I'm gonna take my adhesive. This is the one. And I'm just going to match the holes for the camera holes. Here we go. So this is asking me to start from the bottom to the top. So I just align it as much as I can, and then now I'm gonna go with my flathead, go all the way around. And now I'm going to remove the adhesive. And now the phone has new adhesive on the edges. This is how it looks. Okay, now we can start building our phone, putting our screen back. Okay, so now I'm gonna get my phone and I'm going to connect it first. I'm going to connect this cable first. So I just pull the cable gently and connect it to the connector. Sometimes it's tricky, but you just have to, don't force it. Let me move this plate, this metal stuff away. Metal. So hold on, so I'll put the metal to the side and then I connect the cable. So let me do that again so you guys can see it. So what I did, this cable was disconnected, so this metal plate or metal holder, I move it to the right side and then I connected the cable. I'm just pressing on it, that's it. And then I bring this back up. Okay, now we have to put our metal shield. So we're gonna put our metal shield, and since I did it in order, I don't even have to think about the screws. So just remember, it goes underneath that other metal. So it goes underneath. So let me do it under the microscope. So this is the metal holder, and you are gonna go underneath. Do you see it? Make sure this is on the top of that plate. Here you go. Now we put the bottom screw first, the two bottom ones. I always start from the bottom. We need our Y shape screwdriver. So we do the bottom two first. Okay, there goes one. And then I go to the other side and do my other one. Now I go to the top and there is another one. I'm still I still have my screen to the left side while I'm putting the metal shield, the metal cover. Okay, so now we do our last screw, which is the Phillips one on the right corner. Okay, so this is how it looks. One, two, three, four. Okay, so now we have to connect our LCD. So how do we connect it? We just plug in the cables. There goes the first one, and let me do the second one under the microscope so you can see it. And there goes the second one. Here you go. So I'm pressing on it. Okay. So now all I have to do is put my metal plate on top. So let me hold the screen to the side. So I put my metal plate that holds the LCD cables. I'm always holding my screen. If I don't want to hold it, I put something behind to hold it. And I'm going to put two screws. One goes on the right side or the top side if we see it from this angle, and those are Y shape. Okay, that was one, and now we go to the other side and we put number two. Okay, so if we see it under the microscope, this is how it looks. Just make sure you put the plate on the right way, okay? Just how you see it right here. Okay, so we have our screen. So now we need to put the other plate and we need to connect the battery. So I'm going to lift the screen up. Okay, so now that we have our two metal shields, the final step is we are going to put our metal plate, which is this one. We connect the battery, make sure it clicks, and now we put our metal plate on top of the connector. So this is my LCD. I'm pulling away, not too hard, to make some space, and I do my screws in order again. So this was from the left side. Now we go to the next one, and now the last screw. I'm using my Y shape. So again, if I go under the microscope, you guys can see it, what I did. So I just went underneath and I went underneath the cable and put those 3 screws. So just remember, what I do is hold the screen and pull it up, pull it to the side, and go underneath. Let me see if we can see it from camera number 3. Here we go. So I pull the cable and I go underneath. There is 1 screw, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now we're ready to close the device. So how do we close the device? We go from right to left, and then from top, make sure the top goes in all the way in, and then we go to the right side, and then we go to the left side, I'm just gonna clean. That's just a protector on the screen, so, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to clean. This is how it looks, brand new. Now I put my 2 bottom screws. With my pentalobe screwdriver. And I power on my device. Oh, the battery died. Let me just connect it to a charger. But the screen replacement is done. So you can see, we're waiting till it powers on. Powers on right now. Plug in the password. Okay, and everything is working. Check that everything is working. This phone is ready to go. And this is how we do the screen replacement for an iPhone XR.